I'm going to chair the afternoon's speech. And it's a great pleasure to invite Professor IBA from Kyoto University to give us a speech about agricultural management and policy in Japan. Professor IBA is an expert in agricultural business and management. And I would like to express my sincere appreciation that his for invitation, despite the COVID-19 outbreak and the severe condition. And I'm also like to introduce important guests and appreciate their joining the speech. President of International Affairs and distinguished Professor Zhang. And the chair of Department of Applied Economics, Su Liang. Professor I庭治彥and Chifumi Takagi. Okay, the background of the speech is under the MOU of Kyoto University and National Zhongshin University academic cooperation last year. And I hope more and more academic cooperation activities make closer relationship between Kyoto University and National Zhongshin University in the future. And after the speech, we will have 30 minutes. Welcome participants, questions, and comments. Okay, so let's welcome Professor IBA giving us opening address and then start the speech. Okay.
你好，我是welcome to okay. Hello everybody, my name is Haruhiro from Kyoto University, and so I'm very looking forward to discuss about. I'm very looking forward to discussing about today's topics, conservation program. So actually, so in Japan, the agriculture is very important. So simultaneously, the environment is important, and so in Japan, the environment and agriculture is very connected to each other. So today, later the speech, I present to you these topics. So please enjoy the presentation, and later please join discussion. So thank you very much. See you later.
My name is Ivan, social professor at University. So today I would like to present a session entitled "Community Supported Conservation Program in Japan." So let's get started. So I'm going to show you the slide. That's it. This session aims to realize the reality and results of practicing the Japan Conservation Program, SCP. The first JCP was named Action Plan for Improvement of Land, Water, and Environmental Preservation. And now the second JCP program is named Direct Grant for Action for the Agriculture. And this session has two objectives. One is to show the reason why residents living in the village should collaborate with farmers to keep regional agricultural assets. So this concept, regional agricultural asset, is a key concept of this session, and then I will explain to you later. And the other objective is clarifying an effective way to practice the JCP. And in general, Japanese farmers use two types of assets for rice farming. One is individual assets and common assets of farmer organization. Individual assets means paddy field. It means each of the farmers own the paddy field. And common assets includes, for example, ponds, irrigation canal, and roads for farming. The common assets are club goods belonging to farmers organization. It means these common goods are owned by the organization, not individual. And farmers use these club goods with organizational maintenance. So the member of the organization collaborate with each other to maintain the assets. And these assets generate not only farmers' income, but also generate a positive externality to all of the residents of the village. And in Japan, the externality generated from farming is named agricultural multifunction. The agricultural multifunction works to, for example, mitigate natural disaster, to keep national food security, and to protect regional environment, and so on. This session will analyze particular function contributing to regional environment. Residents belonging to a village have enjoyed the positive and free welfare from public goods. For example, a beautiful landscape consists of paddy field, comfortable pathway, and biodiversity, and so on. Okay. And we call the benefit as regional agricultural externality. And on the contrary, nowadays, the abandonment of the crop goods is the big problem. And as a result of that, the decrease of social welfare and its residents damage of daily life. Pond agriculture canal with much of weed is very dangerous because it might cause flood. I mean, the non-functioning assets cause natural disaster. For this reason, the crop goods are named regional resources. Resources source of the externality that is one of the factors for social welfare. And that is the reason why the community has to maintain resources adequately for getting the externality. JCP consists of diverse activities to maintain resources with organized community members, including farmer and non-farmer residents. So next table. This table shows a definition of each of four categories of goods: private goods, club goods, common goods, and public goods. So this private goods, for example, food, clothing, houses. So it's normal the goods, and so you can buy it, and so you can own it. And so private goods, for example, golf courses, private parks, car parks, highways, and the common goods and public goods. And then so the rural agriculture resources are one of the club goods, and the farmers organization owns these goods. And these categories are defined by two standards: ROAS, I mean competitiveness and excludable, and additionally externality. externality is, of course, important concept of this session. So usually the externality is out of the market, not good, and without a price. But externality is with goods and activities and producing the economic behavior. Okay. And current issue. And so current issue on the resources is increasing of communities having difficulty to maintain the resources. It has been caused by shrinking of regional culture. As a result, the externality and welfare of the society are also shrinking. Okay, so this table shows the shrinking of agriculture and farming land, and as a result of this decrease, the externality decrease also. And the reason of the issue is low productivity of agriculture. So farmers cannot compensate for the cost to maintain resources adequately through farming. Okay, and especially all around Japan, so many farmers facing these issues and phenomena, and especially disadvantaged areas like mountain area have a tendency strongly where the agricultural labor force are being ordered and increasing simultaneously. And this situation makes regional agriculture shrinking more. In other words, shrinking of regional agriculture is involved in a negative spiral with abandonment of regional agricultural resources. Okay? So the devastation of the resources and increase of the externalities and worsening of local environment. This is a negative spiral. And at the end, it is necessary for local communities to maintain the resources adequately from the viewpoint of keeping regional culture and social welfare. So now I'd like to ask you 3 questions before going to the next part, overviewing of JCP and case study. The questions are why it is necessary for non-farmer residents to share the maintenance cost of the resources, and what encourages non-farmer residents to assist the farmers to maintain the resources, and how do they maintain the resources efficiently. I hope that you could find the answer at the end of this session by yourself. It is necessary for residents to recognize 2 important characteristics of the resources. Yeah, I told you that non-exclusive and non-competitiveness when they practice to maintain the resources. These both 2 characteristics make difficult the estimation of the cost to maintain the resources. That is why it is not easy to request non-farmer residents to share the cost. So for the non-farmer residents who enjoy the externality have not paid the maintenance cost, they did not have to do that because the externality is externality, not goods, not price, not goods price. However, it is necessary for farmers to get assistance for maintaining the resources from outside the farmers' organization. When it becomes impossible to cover the maintenance cost by themselves and by farming. And the fact is very important. There is no substitute of the externality for the non-farmer residents, and they are the beneficiaries of the externalities. And so this is JCP, Japanese conservation program. Yeah, I told you the name already, and JCP aims to maintain the resources to keep regional agriculture and to keep local environment. Okay, and so JCP is based on community to commit, to complete, to practice it, and then organization consists of the community members is the entity of this program. Oops, sorry. And the JCP, the first program has started since 2007. This program consisted of 2 steps. The first step aimed to joint activity to maintain the resources with organizing residents of the community as a program entity. The second step aimed to practice sustainable culture, the low input pesticide and chemical fertilizer, and reducing release of muddy water from paddy field to river or the lake and so on. JCP prompted both of keeping visual agriculture and revitalizing rural community through practicing those activities on each step. This session is mainly focusing on the first step of JCP. This program supported the joint activities through subsidizing on each step. In detail, the first step was subsidized 44,000 yen per 1 hectare, and the second step was subsidized 60,000 yen per 1 hectare. In 2009, JCP was committed by about 20,000 organizations, and it covered 1.5 million hectares farmland on the first step. The second step was committed by about 3,000 organizations and covered about 100,000 hectares of farmlands. The first step of the program covered about 40% farmland of all Japan, and the second step of the program covered about just 3%. Meaning that it's easy to committed the first step, but it's not easy. Actually, it is a little bit difficult to challenge the second step. And in addition, the program entities have to make a plan for practicing JCP with adding several tasks. So usually, not central government, but the prefecture government want the entity organization to add the additional tasks, because the prefecture government pay the half of the subsidy. That's why. So each of prefecture government wants the entity to do more and more. And of course, with additional subsidy. And the next table shows changes of the second program of JCP. The new JCP has started 2013. The grants declining, the keeping condition farmland subsidized by 30,000 yen per 1 hectare, and 3,000 yen per 0.1 hectare, and the maintenance of regional assets, roads, canal ponds, and so on, and 2,040, 400 yen per 0.1 hectare. I think that to 24,000 yen per 1 hectare. Okay, and but the number of organizations and farmland which committed to the program have been increasing. And so nowadays, JCP covers the 48% of all farmland in Japan. Okay, so I'm going to go to the case study section. This case, the Seseragi no Sato, is located at the center of Japan, part of Shiga Prefecture. The Seseragi no Sato is based on community Suhara. Suhara is the name of the community, and it consists of 32 farmers' families and 48 non-farmer families. And the two types of residents live together in the community. And there are 47 hectares of farmland in the village, and almost farmland are paddy field. And the farmers have established a communal farming organization since 1990. Main crops are rice and wheat. The Sasaragi Sato is practicing both first step and second step of JCP, and their joint activity so many, so variety. The Sasaragi Sato is practicing diverse joint activities, maintaining resources, preserving biodiversity, formation of a good landscape, and so on. Especially the paddy field as cradle to fishes program is very unique. It's one of the Sasaragi Sato's activities. The Sasaragi Sato attaches boats in agriculture's waterway to build beautiful fishes, which have habit of going into paddy field to lay eggs. So please look at this picture. This is a water pass canal, and then in the canal pathway there are some boats. This one, this one. And so this boat raises the height of the surface of the water, and the fishes can enter the paddy field to lay eggs. And farmers are practicing a low input farming to preserve good condition for ecosystem and biodiversity. Additionally, the Sasaragi Sato is conducting interaction events with inviting urban students. So they enjoy planting rice, observing wild organisms, and harvesting rice, and so forth. Interaction events between the town residents and the village residents are very popular. So usually there are over 2 times of applicants of fixed number at every event, and very competitive to join these events. And many residents want to host the events with enjoyment, and the children join the events as a guest with our kids. This means that joint activities, how can I say, to conserve environment generates pleasure to both our students and the residents. Residents may find an opportunity to enjoy rural life for themselves through hosting interaction events. That is revitalization of rural society. In other words, interaction events may change the work to enjoyment. Okay, so I believe that you can understand the detail of the interaction events. Actually, in previous time, Japan's paddy field worked to preserve biodiversity in the region. So many organisms lived in paddy field. It worked to supply food to fishes and birds. Several kinds of fishes laid eggs in paddy field. They got into paddy field through agriculture, water paths, and canals. Nowadays, high input of pesticide and chemical fertilizer has given damage to ecosystem and biodiversity. Under this situation, JCP includes one goal, that is to recover the ecosystem and biodiversity in the region depending on sustainable farming skills. Low input. And JCP is a program based on recognition that sustainable agriculture can enhance the regional agriculture externally. Okay. The Sasaragi Sato case shows that practicing a conservation program based on community facilitated revitalization of rural society. And without applying JCP, they would not have been able to make a collaboration between farmers and non-farmer residents to maintain the resources. And they have an interest in biodiversity, and it works to promote the program. And residents get a sense of fulfillment through participating in interaction events with our students. So conclusion. This session examines the Japanese conservation program, JCP, that aims to assist the farmers to maintain regional agricultural resources based on community. At the end of the discussion, I'm going to summarize the conclusions. The first conclusion is that the collaboration among residents of the community is indispensable to maintain the resources through joint activity. So far, externality of regional culture has been charge-free public goods generated by resources with adequate maintenance by farmers organization. But when the resources is out of adequate maintenance being related to shrinking of regional agriculture, the externality and social welfare leads to deterioration of the resources causes harder shrinking of regional agriculture. Under this situation, shrinking cost to maintain the resources becomes a rational method for residents to keep getting the externality and holding social welfare, because there is not any substitute of the externality. Even if there were any substitute, it would also too much to buy. The externality is now a common good for the community. So residents should share the cost equally among them, and it needs to make a consensus to do it among residents. JCP is also a program that encourages them to make a consensus. So the central government made the JCP, and it has a big influence power to the people. The second conclusion is as for the changes of regional agricultural resources. The resources should be changed in order to encourage non-farmer residents to collaborate with farmers to maintain the resources. This means that the resources should change from crop goods of farmers' organization to common goods of the community. And it is necessary for residents to learn how to use the resources carefully. I mean, when it was crop goods, the crop consisted of only farmers. I mean, the member of the club know well how to use it, but after becoming the common goods of the community, some members of the community don't have the background and don't have the knowledge for using it with a good way. That's why. So they have to learn how to use it. It is necessary to make a good relationship between the members. And this change will give a reason to non-farmer residents to assist maintenance of the resources. It also means that the externality becomes a public goods needing maintenance. The externality, so basically the externalities are out of the market without a price. But now the externality become a public goods of the community. Yeah, that's why. So it needs, because it is necessary for it to be fixed and maintained. And it also means that the externality becomes public. And how can I say it? The community members have to keep it. And this cost should be compensated by the beneficiaries of the externality. The third conclusion is about the relationship between maintaining the resources and revitalizing the rural society. Joint activities to maintain the resources may prompt revitalization of rural society by means of offering opportunity to get a sense of fulfillment for residents. So the DCP can offer the opportunity for the non-farmer family to enjoy the rural life. And especially interaction events can give pleasure not only to guests but also the residents as a host. In particular, quite a lot of residents take part in the joint activity to preserve biodiversity. I mean, people are interested in biodiversity nowadays, and when residents can enjoy the joint activity, and get the pressure, the cost of maintaining resources can be decreased. And Japanese conservation program is one of the challenges to keep social welfare and revitalizing society through maintaining non-commercialized resources. JCP is aiming to manage regional agricultural resources appropriately through joint activities among residents of the community. Sasagagi no Sato case is the sample which has succeeded creating positive spiral consisting of the factors mentioned above. Revitalizing community and joint activity to maintain resources and keep the stability. So these factors make a positive spiral, and the social welfare does not depend on only commercialized goods and services with pricing. Non-commercialized resources or goods or joint activities without pricing are also important factors for social welfare. However, the non-commercialized resources tend to be evaluated lower than commercialized goods, and many people don't want to pay the maintenance cost. You have to remember that there is not any substitute of the externality, and it costs too much to recover them. Okay? Thank you for your attention during this 30 minutes, and I'd like to have your idea answers for the 3 questions. Okay? So thank you very much.
今ね、兄弟のネットが全部落ちてしまって、で、今スマホでつないでます。
わかりました。はい、すみません。
見えてます？
はい、見えてます。見えてます。ありがとうございます。
それでね、もし声が聞こえなかったら言ってくださいね。はい。
聞こえます。大丈夫です。
はいはい。
Okay, now we. Sorry. それ書けますね。大丈夫ですか。Okay. Okay, now we welcome question or comments from.
張先生、
はい。
聞こえますか？
はい、聞こえます。はい。
聞こえます？
はい。
でもね、そちらの声が聞こえないんです。
麦克风没有开，你那个。
大丈夫ですか？
はい。
うん。
いいですか？聞こえますか？今。あ、それ言います。はい、こちらこそ。じゃあ、質疑応答で、はい。你 questions？
有问题就
去前面嘛，好，对。第二遍开始。一把。
Hello, Professor Iba.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, how are you? So I have some question about the stages, the program. I got some question about the stages of the program, right? In your handout, you say there's first stage and there's second stage, right?
Sorry. Okay, so I'm using a smartphone, and so your voice is not a good connection. And yeah, okay. Please say again, please.
Okay. Right. I'm very interested in the stage of the program. The stage.
Okay, stage one.
Yeah, right. So there are two stages in the program. Right. There in this stage. On this stage. Right. The program got two stages.
The page 13, right?
Page 14.
Page 14.
Yeah, page 14, right? Here we got two stages. First stage and the second stage, right? And can you kindly explain what is different between first stage and the second stage? In my opinion, it's almost the same.
Question. So basically, the Japanese conservation program JCP consists of the two steps. One is keep the environment, and the other is, the second stage means to maintain the facility for rice farming. For example, canal and road and something like that. So the first stage is very easy for residents to join it because the activities mean, for example, cleaning riverside and pond and something like that. But the second stage means, for example, rebuild the canal or rebuild the waterways or something like that. So especially in the second stage, farmers have to lead these activities. But the first step, everybody can reach the first stage. So that's why most of these stages are important for the village. Two stages have different activities and different functions. That's why there should be consistent stage.
Okay. So can I say that in the second stage, only agricultural sector participated in the second stage, and for the first stage is for every citizen in the community. Am I right?
Sorry, second, please.
In the first stage, right, all the citizens they can participate in the first stage, right? Right, and for the second stage, only agricultural people participate in the second stage. Because in my opinion, it's like the production activity of agricultural sector.
So it's a good question because all of residents joined both of the stage 1 and 2, but at the interaction events, so town citizens joined the first stage, but at the second stage, the all of residents, farmers' family and the non-farmer families joining. That's why this JCP needs a collaboration among all of the residents. But the interaction events, the town citizens just joined the first stage.
Okay, thank you. Can I have the last question? Last question. So I mean, if a community can only join first stage, but they don't do second stage. If one community, they can join only first stage, but they don't do second stage.
Internet connection is not good, so sometimes your voice is dropping.
Okay, so sorry, I say that again. Right. Because I noticed that the number of participants in the first stage is different from the number of participants in the second stage, right? So this makes me think that any community, they can only join first stage, but they don't do second stage.
You are right. For example, the farmer's family, all of how can I say? Non-farmer families joins both of 1 or 2 stages, but some non-farmer families, how can I say, don't join the second stage. That's why each of the total amount of participants are different. At the second stage, some non-farmer families join it, and some non-farmer families don't join the second stage. That's why the participants number is different between the 2 stages.
Yes, I have. Exactly. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Thank you very much.
No, I have no more questions.
No,
Thank you.
he wants to ask you something.
Sure.
So I'm very curious about the situation in Taiwan about the consultation program. And so today's presentation, I explained the Japanese program. The farming and the environment linked to each other. How about in Taiwan?
And so far, as I understand it, we only have like a rural revitalization program, yeah, and we have 1 billion NT dollars for the fund for revitalization of a rural community. Like we only have money for it. Yeah, we only have some budget for the rural revitalization, but actually we don't have any actual program like Japanese. The government subsidy the activity of the revitalization the rural community. Right. So far, each community they have their own program. Right. Local. Yeah, each local community they have their own program. Yeah, and they maybe they just have a proposal for their rural revitalization program, but actually it's not the same for all the local community. Right, and in Japan, right? In Japan, I saw that it's government, right? It's government pay community money to do the things to revitalization local community, right? And in Taiwan, right? And each local community, they have their own program to revitalize their own community. Right? It's sort of like a European, right? Like a local lead, right? Community development program. It's a little bit like that, but so far but it's much. I think the European LCD, right? Local lead community program is go much further than the program in Taiwan now.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's like very good.
Okay, thank you, Professor Yang.
Thank you.
And any other question or comments?
张老师，我直接用打的，我打给他了。
哦
我现在传给你吗
，OK， 可以。Okay, Professor Iba, we have another question from Professor Liang. His question is as follows. So, could you take time to see the question?
Please, hello. Professor Chu,
怎么样？他跟我讲，他回了。
可能会直接跟你讲。所以你坐着。
Hello. Yeah. So there is a program project to assess the benefit of for the ecosystem. If the farmer continue to not set aside their farmland and to do some production activities in Taiwan. So right now we have like 3,500 N per hectare. Per 0.1 hectare. Sorry, there was a typo. Not per hectare. It's per 0.1 hectare. So 3,500 N. So it's similar to Japan. Yeah, but the farmer did not respond to this program very positively because they all think this is too little for them to maintain their farmland activity. So right now we are assessing the benefit of maintaining the ecosystem. So in the future, the government may subsidize more for them to maintain their agricultural activities. But my question is, in terms of your practice, your case study, is there any suggestion you can give us for us to form a better policy? For example, in your program, you have the farmer and the urban citizens to participate in the program. But right now, we are only one way, just the central government subsidy. And the farmer is unwilling to participate in the program. And also the urban citizens, they do not know this program. So do you have any suggestion for us to do some, how do we collaborate with the farmers and the local government or the local farmer union, something like that, and to have similar case study like yours? That is very valuable to us. Could you give us some advice? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And so I'm very curious about the subsidy of Taiwan. So you told me that so you have the very similar program and the very similar subsidy and something like that. And so at first you said that assessment. Actually, so every year the entity of this program, I mean the village and the organization, have to submit a documentation about the activities, and it's very hard work for them. I think in the activity change the system and reduce the work to make documentation. So it's a current situation in Japan.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Any other question?
Hello, Professor Iva. Yeah, we met before. Yeah, long time no see. Okay, I'm curious about the name of your program, SNS. What exactly is the English? What is the exactly English translation? The
Sesehaki no Sato.
Sato. What is it?
Somebody.
I know something good.
What is Japanese?
Yeah, I know. What is it?
Seseragi.
Seseragi.
Small parts. The street.
River, right?
The river.
A river.
River village. River village. 那个李山的里山。
Yeah.
Let's try to discuss what is the
Close to the mountain, right?
Sato.
Yeah, different.
Sato village.
Sato could be village. And Seseragi is like like a beautiful, like small, like creek. Yeah. The water quality is very good.
So it's a small, beautiful village.
It's
SNS. Can you change that?
Okay.
Okay, what is the SNS in English mean?
okay. Sorry. What is the English name for SNS? Sesaraki no Sato. Okay, Sesaraki no Sato. My Japanese is too bad. Sesaraki no Sato. Sesaraki no Sato mean in English beautiful field.
The sample, the SNS, right?
Yes, what is the English meaning?
这里，打在这里了。
So you are the that's all right.
Yes.
Okay. So Seseragi means yes, very beautiful small river. Sato means hometown with very beautiful small river.
Okay, thank you very much. And you also say without applying JPC, they would not have been able to make a collaboration between farmers and non-farmer residents. Is that right? So this program should continue forever. Is that right? If we don't have a program, then the farmer and the non-farmer will not work together. So you have to continue forever this program.
Okay, so Joseph, is that the chat box in English because your voice is very louder or not clear?
So we don't. Okay. Okay. Can I say that? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm totally understand. Okay, so now the Seseragi no Sato is doing the same thing for many years, and so you the virus. They stop the activities because of the coronavirus. But I believe that after finishing the coronavirus, they will restart the same activities. And so we have to learn how to adapt the coronavirus from the Taiwan. So we are very good country to control coronavirus.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So you will keep the program, huh? You will keep the program forever. Is that right? If you want to make the farmer and the non-farmer work together. Is that that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so all two questions, okay? The final two questions. Okay. Is that student? Okay, Jay. Really?
Hello, Professor. I'm Jay from the Philippines. I'm an international student at MCHU. We are very interested on the figures on the second stage of your program to encourage more farmers. Can you show us quantities or figures about the before and after, about the situation of your farmers who are using low-cost input and then sustainable agriculture? Which is better? Are they going to use the program or not? Is that clear?
First GCP and the second GCP, both of them have different second stage. You know, the first GCP had the second stage as the practicing low input sustainable agriculture, and the second GCP had the second stage as the maintenance of regional assets. I mean, growth piano. Which recipe you are talking about? The first recipe or second stage? Second recipe.
The second one.
The second one. So maintenance of assets, growth, piano, things like that. And so usually it costs too much. That's why sometimes government subsidize the farmers, and so they use the subsidy to maintain the facilities. And so actually after World War II and many assets built in 1960 or 70s, and all of them are, how can I say that? All of assets need maintenance now in all of Japan. And so they need the money now. This is the time to fix it over to Japan. This is correct. My answer is or could you give me your question again, please?
I'm talking about the low input and sustainable agriculture. I'm talking about the low input and sustainable agriculture, Professor. Is there any data before and after joining the program of the farmers? Is there any changes on their output in terms of their production in the rice or in the fish farming, something like that? So you can encourage more farmers to join the project if there is a difference between the practicing it or not.
The point. The sustainable agriculture and the low farming rice can get the premium price. Not 10%, but 3% or 5%, and they get the premium price of the rice. But it's not influence for the farmers. Joint activities give them the sense of fulfillment. So in Japan, it's not easy to give farming the same side. That's why this program encourages farmers to have the same side. Hello?
Yes? Okay. Okay.
You understand?
Yeah? Okay, thank you. Okay, so final question, okay? Professor Ivan, final, sorry. Any final question? Okay. Japanese.
No Japanese.
Dr. Iba, may I ask you the questions? Because Shiga Prefecture is very large, but in the central part of Shiga Prefecture, the Lake Biwa is located. And I'm just wondering, this is a case study of Seseragi no Sato is using the water resource from Lake Biwa or not?
Okay, so it is easy for you to access to the case. I mean, the Seseragi no Sato is located very close to the Lake Biwa, and so they use the water. So when you came back to Japan, so please visit the case. Of course, after coronavirus. So what is your question again?
Since Shiga Prefecture is has a big lake, the lake, and I'm just wondering, since this the project name is Seseragi no Sato, I'm just wondering if that activity is using the water resource from the Lake Biwa or not.
They use water from the Lake Biwa, and so okay, so Shiga Prefecture is very special because the Shiga Prefecture has the biggest lake in Japan, and so the residents in the prefecture are very curious about the keep the greenness of the Lake Biwa. That's why. So I believe that the Lake Biwa is one of the factors encouraging the farmers to try this efficiency program. I think the Lake Biwa is the reason for them to try this program.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. 谢谢，お疲れ様です。
The special time, like today. Okay.
Yes, thank you for your attention. Okay. Finish the speech. Okay. Oh, hi. Okay. お疲れ様です。じゃあ、終了します。那我们就结束。谢谢大家的参加。Thank you for your attention. Okay.